The night was silent in the small mountain village. Houses stood close together, their wooden walls glowing faintly from the light of oil lamps inside. The villagers had gone to rest early, for tomorrow was the harvest festival. Children had spent the day playing near the river, women had baked bread, and men had prepared drums for the morning. Peace covered the valley like a warm blanket. But deep inside every villager's heart was a hidden fear. They knew that the peace of their nights never lasted forever. The old ones spoke about it in whispers. The dragon will return. It always returns. And so, every night, families locked their doors, pulled their children close, and prayed that the beast would not choose their homes. Far away, on the highest peak, two golden eyes opened in the darkness. Smoke escaped from wide nostrils, and with a heavy sound of wings, the dragon rose into the air. Its scales reflected the moonlight, like burning embers alive with fire. The villagers, already used to this sound, froze in silence. Dogs hid under carts. Children pressed their faces into their mothers' arms. Then came the roar. It shook the ground, rolled through the valley, and told everyone that the monster was awake. In a small hut at the edge of the village, a boy named Eric lay half asleep. He was 12, curious and full of questions. He had always wanted to see the dragon with his own eyes, though he knew it was dangerous. Tonight, as the roar echoed, he ran to the window. "Eric, no," his mother whispered, pulling him back. "Do not look. Do not call its eyes." But it was too late. The dragon's shadow crossed the village, covering roofs in darkness. Fire burst from its mouth, not to burn houses, but to light the ground with a red glow. People screamed. Men grabbed sticks and tools, though they knew such weapons were useless. And then, the beast landed. Its wings sent dust into the air, its claws crushed the earth. The dragon's head lowered, eyes scanning the terrified people. None dared move. Eric stared back, his heart racing. The golden eyes locked onto him, as if the dragon had been searching for him and no one else. The villagers cried out, "Hide the boy! Hide him!" But the beast moved faster than fear. With one sweep of its massive claw, the dragon reached through the hut's broken roof. Eric shouted as he was lifted into the air. His mother screamed, grabbing his arm, but the strength of the creature was unstoppable. "Let him go! Please!" she cried, tears falling. The dragon spread its wings, holding the boy in its grip. With a roar that shook the valley once more, it launched into the night sky. The village grew smaller and smaller beneath Eric as cold air rushed against his face. He wanted to scream, but his voice was trapped in his throat. His heart pounded like a drum. All around him was fire and smoke, and above him was only the endless dark. Down below, the villagers watched in horror. Some fell to their knees, believing the boy already lost. Others shouted in anger, cursing the dragon's name. An old man whispered, "The beast has chosen. The boy will never return." But Eric was still alive. The dragon carried him across forests, rivers, and black cliffs. Hours seemed to pass, though Eric had no way to count. At last, the creature slowed its wings, circling a giant cave in the side of the mountain. The cave mouth glowed with strange red light, like fire trapped deep inside. The dragon entered, landing heavily on the stone floor. Dust rose around them as the beast placed Eric gently on the ground. The boy stumbled, his legs weak. He looked up, expecting fire, teeth, and death. But the dragon only stared at him, breathing slowly, smoke drifting into the air. Eric pressed his back to the wall, shaking. Why me?" he whispered, though he knew the creature could not answer. The dragon lowered its head, close enough that Eric could see the lines of scars across its scales. Its eyes, though bright like fire, did not look angry. They looked tired, sad. Eric's fear mixed with confusion. Was this not the beast that destroyed lives? Was this not the monster every villager hated? Then why had it taken him alive? The silence in the cave was broken only by the sound of the dragon's breathing. In the village far below, people gathered in the square, torches burning in their hands. The boy was gone, taken by the feared creature of fire. Mothers held their children tighter, men clenched their fists in rage, and the elders shook their heads. "No one has ever come back," one of them whispered. "The boy is lost." But high in the cave, Eric sat trembling, alive but uncertain. For the first time, he realized something strange. The dragon could have killed him easily. Yet it hadn't. Instead, it had carried him far away, placed him carefully on the stone, and now it simply watched him in silence. A question filled his young mind, stronger than his fear. What does the dragon really want? And in that moment, the story of fire, fear, and hidden truth began. The cave was massive, larger than any hall Eric had ever seen. Its ceiling disappeared into the dark, and its walls shone with a faint red glow. Strange crystals grew out of the stone, burning like captured fire. The air smelled of smoke, ash, and something ancient, something older than the village itself. Eric pressed his back against the wall, his small hands shaking. The dragon's shadow filled the cave, each movement echoing across the stones. Its golden eyes followed him, glowing like twin suns in the darkness. The boy wanted to run, but there was nowhere to go. Behind him, only stone. In front of him, the great beast. The dragon stepped closer, its claws scratching the rock. The sound was sharp, like blades sliding together. Eric shut his eyes tight, waiting for the pain of fire or teeth. But no fire came. Instead, the dragon lowered its head and placed something on the ground. Eric opened his eyes and stared. It was meat, freshly caught, still steaming from heat. The boy's mouth went dry. His fear battled with his hunger. He had not eaten since the afternoon, and the smell filled his nose. Still, he whispered, "Why are you giving me this?" The dragon tilted its head, as if it understood. Its eyes narrowed, not in anger, but in something else, patience. Eric shook his head, refusing the food. He pressed his knees to his chest, trying to appear small. The dragon gave a deep rumble, a sound that was neither a roar nor a growl. It was softer, almost like a sigh. Slowly, the beast turned away and curled its giant body into the corner of the cave. Its wings folded, and smoke drifted lazily from its nose. Within moments, its breathing slowed, heavy and deep. The dragon was resting. Eric could hardly believe it. He had expected death, but now the monster lay like a giant guardian, silent and still. Hours passed. Eric did not sleep. He watched the crystals glow, listened to the distant drip of water, and tried to understand what had happened. Why had the dragon taken him alive? Why offer food? When the beast finally stirred, Eric felt his chest tighten again. Golden eyes opened. The dragon rose and walked to a smaller tunnel inside the cave. It disappeared for a while, and when it returned, it carried something strange. In its claw was a broken chain of metal, old and covered in rust. The dragon dropped it before Eric, then tapped it gently with a claw. Eric frowned. "What is this? What are you showing me?" The dragon moved its head slowly, pointing at its own neck. And there, under the scales, Eric saw marks, deep scars where heavy chains must once have cut into flesh. The boy gasped. You were chained." The dragon lowered its head, its eyes closing for a moment, as if remembering pain too great to speak. Eric's fear slowly changed into curiosity. Could it be true? Could the monster everyone hated once have been a prisoner? He stepped closer, his hands trembling, but his voice growing stronger. "You were not always free. Someone hurt you." The dragon opened its eyes again, and for the first time, Eric thought he saw sadness within the fire. Then, with one claw, the beast dragged another object from the shadows. A broken spear, its tip blackened with old fire. Eric touched it carefully. It was heavy, far older than anything his village used. "Did the villagers do this to you?" Eric whispered. The dragon gave a low growl, not of anger, but of warning. It shook its head, pointing its snout beyond the cave, toward the horizon. Its wings spread for just a moment, and the crystals flickered with light. Eric followed its gesture, his eyes wide. Not the village, something else. The dragon rumbled again, louder this time, then settled back down. The boy sat in silence. For the first time, he realized that everything his people believed might not be true. Perhaps the dragon was not a monster. Perhaps it had enemies, enemies greater than the villagers could imagine. Still, he was afraid. That night, as the dragon lay resting, Eric crept to the edge of the cave mouth. He looked down at the distant lights of his home, tiny sparks in the valley below. He thought of his mother's tears, his father's anger, and the villagers' fear. They would never believe him if he told them the dragon had not harmed him. To them, the beast was evil, and evil never changed. But Eric had seen the scars. He had seen the broken chains. Something inside him whispered that the truth was different, that the dragon's secret was bigger than anyone guessed. When he turned back, the golden eyes were watching him again. The dragon had not moved, but it knew where he was. Eric froze. Then the creature gave a deep rumble, softer than before. A sound that felt almost like approval. The boy stepped back inside, his heart beating fast. For the first time, He did not feel like a prisoner. He felt like he had been chosen. And somewhere deep in the mountain, the hidden fire of destiny began to burn. The morning sun rose over the valley, but the village felt no warmth. Smoke still hung in the air from the dragon's visit. People gathered in the square, their faces pale, their voices low. The boy, Eric, was gone, and the memory of his mother's screams echoed in every ear. The elders stood together, whispering among themselves. They were the oldest men and women of the village, their words treated as law. Their eyes were sharp, their voices heavy with authority. One of them, Elder Marin, raised his hand for silence. The dragon has taken another child. Just as it has before. This is the curse we live under. Long ago, our people angered the beast. It demands a sacrifice every generation, and we can do nothing but endure. The villagers nodded, though some wept. Mothers clutched their children closer. Fathers clenched their fists in helpless rage. But among the crowd, a young woman's voice rose, Eric's mother. Her eyes were red from tears, but her voice carried strength. "No," she cried. "It did not burn us. It did not kill our cattle. It only took my boy." "Why? Why only him?" The elders frowned. Elder Marin's eyes grew cold. "Do not ask questions that should not be asked." But whispers began to spread. Some villagers remembered strange stories, half-forgotten tales told by their grandparents. Stories of the dragon not always being a monster, but a guardian, a protector who once kept the valley safe. Another elder quickly silenced them. "The beast is evil. It has always been evil. Do not let doubt weaken us." Yet doubt had already begun to grow. Far away, in the dragon's cave, Eric sat near the glowing crystals. His fear had lessened, though his heart still raced each time the dragon moved. The scars on its neck, the broken chains, the old spear, he could not forget them. He dared to speak aloud, though his voice trembled. "You were not always our enemy, were you?" The dragon lifted its head. For a long moment, the golden eyes studied him. Then the beast moved closer and lowered its snout to the ground. Its massive claw dragged strange marks into the dust. At first, Eric did not understand. The shapes were rough, broken lines. But then he realized they were symbols. Old letters, older than any writing he had seen in his village. "You can write," Eric whispered. The dragon rumbled low in its chest. Eric stared at the symbols, confused. They looked like fragments of a story, pieces of history no one had told him. He pointed at them and shook his head. "I don't understand." The dragon gave a deep growl, then turned away. It walked to the far side of the cave, where a huge stone slab rested against the wall. The beast pushed it aside with one claw, revealing a hidden chamber. Eric hesitated, then followed. Inside was something he could never have imagined. Old carvings filled the walls, men standing beside dragons, fighting together against shadowy creatures with burning eyes. Dragons were not monsters in these pictures. They were allies. Protectors. Eric's breath caught in his throat. The elders, they never told us this. The dragon stared at him, waiting for him to understand. Slowly, the boy whispered, "They lied." Back in the village, Eric's mother refused to remain silent. She went from house to house, demanding answers. Why do we always obey the elders? Why do we accept their story? Has anyone ever gone to the mountain to see the truth? Some villagers shook their heads, too afraid. But others began to whisper with her, their doubt turning into anger. One old woman, her voice shaking, finally admitted, "When I was a girl, my grandfather told me, the dragon once saved us. Long ago, there was a greater enemy. A darkness that came from beyond the stars. The dragon fought it for us. But the elders forbade us to speak of it." The people were shocked. Why would the elders hide such a truth? Before more could be said, the elders called a meeting in the square. Their voices thundered over the crowd. "These are lies. Do not listen to old stories. The dragon is no protector. It is a curse, and we must destroy it before it destroys us." But the seed of doubt was already planted. And seeds, once planted, always grow. In the cave, Eric touched the carvings with his small hands. The images told a story his people had forgotten. Dragons chained, forced to fight, betrayed by the very humans they had saved. The boy turned to the beast. His voice was small, but filled with determination. "I will learn. I will tell them the truth. They must know who you really are." The dragon leaned closer, its hot breath surrounding him. Its eyes glowed brighter, and Eric felt something stir deep inside him, something he could not explain. It was as if a fire had been lit in his heart. For the first time, he was not just a frightened child. He was part of something greater. That night, while the villagers argued and the elders plotted, the dragon carried Eric deeper into the mountain. The tunnels opened into a hidden chamber filled with treasures, not gold, but relics. Ancient weapons, broken shields, scrolls sealed in stone. Eric stared in awe. All of this, it belongs to my people. The dragon gave a low growl of agreement. The boy realized the truth at last. The elders had hidden history. They had turned protector into monster. They had lied for generations, feeding fear instead of truth. And now, because of those lies, the dragon was hated, and the real enemy remained forgotten. Eric clenched his fists. I will not be silent. I will learn your secret. And one day, I will make them see. The dragon lowered its head, touching its snout gently against the boy's shoulder. It was not a bond of master and prisoner. It was something stronger. A silent promise. Far above the cave, thunder rolled across the sky. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, hiding something yet unseen. The hidden war was coming. The nights grew colder as days passed in the mountain cave. Eric no longer felt like a prisoner. Each morning he woke to the sound of wings and fire, and each night he slept beneath the glow of strange crystals. The dragon had not harmed him once. Instead, it showed him secrets, old carvings, broken relics, and strange symbols that told a story lost to his people. Eric slowly began to understand. The dragon was not his enemy. One evening, the beast carried him deeper into the tunnels, to a chamber larger than any before. The walls were covered in carvings, brighter and sharper than the others. They showed battles, dragons and humans fighting together against creatures unlike anything Eric had seen. The enemies were tall, their eyes burning with cold light. Their bodies looked part flesh, part machine. Some flew through the sky in black ships, raining fire from above. Others walked with long, sharp limbs, cutting through men and beasts alike. Eric's breath caught in his throat. What are they? The dragon gave a low growl, shaking the cave. Its eyes blazed like fire as it dragged its claw across the wall, scratching at the image of the dark creatures. Eric whispered, "They are coming back, aren't they?" The beast rumbled in answer. Fear gripped the boy's chest, but it was not the same fear he once felt of the dragon. This was different. Bigger. The villagers had always feared fire and wings, but they had no idea of the real danger waiting beyond the mountains. Back in the village, the people were restless. Doubt spread like smoke, but the elders worked hard to keep control. They told the villagers the dragon had cursed them for generations, and now, by stealing the boy, it had shown its true evil. "We must act," Elder Marin declared before the crowd. "If we do nothing, the beast will return for more of our children. We cannot wait for death. We will march to its lair and end this." The villagers shouted in fear and anger. They began sharpening blades, gathering torches, preparing for a battle they could not win. But Eric's mother stood apart. Her voice shook as she cried, "You fools! Do you not see? My son still lives. The dragon has not killed him. Why? Why would a monster show mercy?" No one listened. Fear was stronger than reason. The villagers' hearts were set on blood. Far above, in the dragon's cave, Eric was learning. The beast showed him a strange relic, a small, black stone glowing faintly with red fire. It hummed when Eric touched it, vibrating like a heartbeat. "What is it?" he asked softly. The dragon lowered its head, pushing the stone closer to him. When Eric's fingers brushed against it again, visions filled his mind, flashes of battles long ago, of men and dragons standing side by side, holding the same relics in their hands. Together, they called forth fire strong enough to burn the machines of the enemy. Eric gasped, falling back, his chest heaving. It chose me." The dragon rumbled in agreement. In that moment, Eric felt something awaken inside him. Not strength of the body, but strength of the spirit. He was no longer just a boy. He was part of a story much older than his village. That night, as he sat near the cave's edge, Eric looked down at the tiny lights of his home in the valley. Smoke curled from the chimneys, and faint voices rose on the wind. He missed his mother, but he could not return, not yet. The dragon joined him, wings folded, watching the same valley. Its eyes burned with a heavy sadness. Eric understood without words. The beast had once protected those very people, but now they saw it only as a curse. They will never believe me, Eric whispered. Not until the darkness comes. The dragon's chest rumbled softly, almost like a sigh. At dawn, the boy woke to distant sounds, horns echoing through the valley. He ran to the edge of the cave. Down below, he saw torches and weapons. The villagers were marching toward the mountain, their anger pushing them higher, closer, step by step. His heart froze. They're coming for you. The dragon rose, its wings spreading wide, fire glowing in its throat. But there was no fear in its eyes, only a calm acceptance, as if it had expected this. Eric grabbed the relic stone, holding it tightly. No. They don't understand. They think you are the enemy. I have to stop them. The dragon lowered its head, pressing its snout against the boy's chest. Its golden eyes blazed, and for the first time, Eric felt words form in his mind, not spoken aloud, but heard inside his heart. The war is near. You must choose. Eric stumbled back, breathless. The dragon had spoken, not with sound, but with thought. His choice stood before him: return to his people and face their anger, or stand with the beast they feared, and fight the darkness only he now understood. The boy's hand shook, but his voice was firm. I will not let them kill you. Not when the real enemy is out there. The dragon gave a roar, shaking the mountain. Fire lit the cave as the villagers climbed higher, their shouts echoing off the rocks. Eric's heart pounded. The hidden war had begun, and he was standing in the center of it. The sound of horns shook the mountain air. From the cave mouth, Eric watched his people climb higher and higher. Torches flickered like a river of fire in the dark. The villagers were armed with axes, spears, and old bows. At their front walked the elders, their faces hard with anger. Elder Marin raised his hand and shouted to the people. His voice carried even up the mountain. Tonight, we end the curse. The beast has stolen our children for the last time. No more fear. No more sacrifices. We destroy it, and our village will be free. The villagers cheered, though fear trembled in their voices. Eric's stomach twisted. He wanted to run down the mountain and scream the truth. The dragon was not their enemy. But he knew they would not listen. The elders had poisoned their hearts with lies for too long. He turned to the dragon. Its wings were half open, its chest glowing with fire. Its golden eyes stared down at the approaching crowd. They don't understand, Eric whispered. They think you're the curse. The dragon's head lowered. Its thoughts pressed into Eric's mind, heavy and clear. Humans betray. Always betray. Yet you see. Eric clutched the relic stone tight in his fist. I have to stop them. The villagers reached the rocky ledge near the cave. Torches blazed, and the light revealed the massive shadow of the dragon waiting above. The people froze for a moment, their courage shaking. Then Elder Marin shouted, Now! Attack before it strikes! Arrows flew. Spears were raised. The dragon roared, the sound rolling like thunder through the valley. Fire blazed from its mouth, not at the people but into the air, warning them back. The flames lit the mountain like daylight. Still, the villagers screamed and rushed forward. Eric ran out of the cave, holding up his hands. Stop! Please, listen to me! His voice was small against the roar of fear and anger. Some villagers paused, recognizing the boy they thought lost forever. His mother gasped, tears falling as she cried out his name. But Elder Marin's voice cut through the moment. The beast has poisoned him. He is its servant now. Do not be fooled. The crowd wavered, torn between the sight of the living boy and the command of their elder. Eric shouted, his voice breaking. It's not what you think. The dragon isn't our enemy. A spear flew past him, clattering against the rocks. The villagers were too blinded by rage. The dragon stepped forward, placing itself between Eric and the advancing crowd. Arrows struck its scales, bouncing harmlessly, but spears cut into its wings. The beast roared in pain. Eric's heart pounded. No! Stop hurting it! The battle raged across the mountainside. Villagers climbed the rocks, striking with axes. The dragon swiped its claws, sending men tumbling down. Fire burned across the sky, but still the villagers fought, driven by fear and the elder's orders. Eric's mother ran toward him, trying to reach her son, but men pulled her back. He is cursed, they shouted. She screamed, fighting against them, but they held her down. Tears filled Eric's eyes. He turned to the dragon, whose chest heaved with pain. Blood ran down its side where spears had pierced deep. He held up the relic stone. It pulsed in his hand, glowing brighter and brighter. Heat burned his skin, but he did not let go. "Help me," he whispered. "Please, show them the truth." The dragon's golden eyes locked onto him. Then, with a roar that shook the sky, its fire wrapped around the boy, not burning him, but surrounding him in light. The relic blazed like a star, and for the first time, the villagers froze. They saw the boy standing unharmed within the flames, the dragon behind him like a guardian, not a monster. Gasps filled the night. Some dropped their weapons. Doubt began to spread. But Elder Marin's voice rose again, sharp and furious. "Do not believe this trick. It is sorcery. Kill them both before it is too late." He charged forward with a black spear in his hands, older and sharper than the others. Its tip glowed faintly with strange light. Eric's eyes widened. He had seen that weapon before, carved into the walls of the hidden chamber. It was not a village weapon. It was from the enemy. "You knew," Eric whispered, horror filling him. "You knew the truth all along." Elder Marin struck, plunging the spear into the dragon's side. The beast roared, staggering. Blood poured from the wound, sizzling as it hit the stone. "No!" Eric screamed. He threw himself between the elder and the dragon, the relic glowing so brightly it blinded the crowd. The stone pulsed with heat and power. A wave of fire burst out, knocking Marin and the other villagers back. The elder's black spear clattered to the ground, cracked and broken. The people lay stunned, their torches scattered. Fear turned to confusion. Eric stood trembling, the relic burning in his hand. His voice rose over the silence. "You were lied to. The dragon was never our enemy. The real danger is coming. And your elders knew it." The villagers stared, their faces pale. Whispers spread through the crowd. Some looked at the elders with suspicion. Others looked at the dragon with new eyes. But the beast was weakening. Its golden eyes dimmed as it sank to the ground, blood pouring from its wound. Eric dropped to his knees beside it. "No, stay with me. Please, don't leave me now." The dragon's hot breath washed over him. Its thoughts filled his mind, weak but clear. "The war begins. You must finish what I cannot." The boy's heart broke as the beast's breathing slowed. Around them, the villagers stood frozen, caught between fear, shame, and the truth that could no longer be hidden. Far above the mountain, thunder rumbled. A cold light flickered in the clouds, not lightning but something else. The real enemy had awakened. The mountain shook under Eric's feet. The villagers stared up at the dark sky, their torches flickering as cold winds rushed down the valley. Lightning split the clouds, but it was not the lightning of storms. It was sharp, straight, and blinding, like weapons firing in the heavens. A strange hum filled the air, growing louder, heavier, until the very stones seemed to tremble. Shadows moved behind the clouds, shapes too large to belong to birds or storms. Ships, black and silent, descending from the stars. The villagers gasped in horror. For generations, they had feared the dragon, but now they saw something far worse. "It cannot be," one whispered. "The stories were true," another cried. "The sky demons return." Elder Marin tried to shout over them, but the people no longer listened. They had seen his black spear, they had seen the relic burn in the boy's hand, and now they saw the truth in the sky. Fear turned into chaos. Some villagers dropped their weapons and ran. Others fell to their knees, praying. Eric knelt beside the dragon, whose golden eyes flickered weakly. Blood still flowed from the wound, dark against its glowing scales. "No," Eric whispered, tears streaming down his face. "You can't die. Not now. I still need you." The dragon's breath washed over him, warm but faint. Its thoughts entered his mind, softer than before, like the fading voice of a dream. "You are chosen. You carry my fire now. The relic will answer only to you. Finish what I cannot." Eric shook his head, gripping the stone so tightly his knuckles turned white. "I can't do this alone. I'm just a boy." The dragon's golden eyes burned one last time. "You are more. You were always more." With a final breath, the beast lowered its head to the ground. Its fire dimmed, its chest stilled, and silence fell. Eric felt something tear inside him. He pressed his hands against the dragon's scales, but the great body did not move again. The villagers stood frozen, watching. Some wept, for in that moment they realized the truth. The monster they had feared for centuries had died to protect them. But the sky above gave no time for mourning. A black ship broke through the clouds, its metal body glowing with cruel light. From its sides, creatures descended, tall, twisted, half flesh and half machine. Their eyes burned with cold blue fire. They landed on the mountainside, their sharp limbs cutting into the stone. The villagers screamed. Eric rose, the relic clutched in his hand. It glowed brighter than ever, pulsing with the same fire that had lived in the dragon. His tears dried as heat spread through his body. He stepped forward, standing between the villagers and the creatures. "This ends now," he whispered. The first of the enemy raised its arm, a weapon glowing like lightning. It fired, a beam of energy streaking toward the boy. But the relic flared, and a wall of fire burst out, splitting the beam in two. The villagers cried out in awe. The flames surrounded Eric but did not burn him. Instead, they burned the enemy, cutting through its metal body. The creature shrieked and fell. Eric's eyes widened. He had not known how to do it. The relic had acted as if the dragon itself guided him. The other enemies charged, their claws striking the ground, their weapons glowing. Eric held the relic high, and fire answered. It shot out in waves, crashing into the attackers, shattering their bodies of metal and flesh. The villagers watched, their fear turning into hope. The boy they thought lost, the boy they thought cursed, stood blazing like a flame against the darkness. Elder Marin tried to run, but the villagers caught him. They dragged him down, shouting, "You lied to us! You betrayed us!" His power was broken, his voice drowned in the fury of his own people. Eric did not look back. He had no time for traitors. The sky above filled with more ships. The battle had only begun. The relic pulsed again, and Eric heard the dragon's voice inside his heart, faint but steady. "You are not alone. My fire lives in you. Use it. Protect them." Eric raised the stone with both hands. Flames erupted across the mountainside, forming a barrier that shielded the villagers. The ships fired down, but their beams broke against the fire. With every strike, Eric felt his strength grow, not from his own body, but from the bond he now carried. The dragon's soul, its fire, its sacrifice, all of it lived inside him. The people fell silent, watching as the boy glowed with light, his small figure standing against the vast shadow of the enemy. For the first time in generations, they saw the truth with their own eyes. The dragon had not been their curse. It had been their protector. And now, that duty belonged to Eric. Hours later, when the first wave of enemies was destroyed, silence returned to the mountain. The villagers gathered around the boy, their faces full of awe and shame. Eric's mother rushed forward, holding him tight. Tears ran down her cheeks, but her voice was strong. "My son, my brave son." Eric looked up at the night sky, where more shadows waited beyond the stars. He knew this was only the beginning. The relic burned in his hand, its fire steady, unbroken. He whispered softly, "I will protect them. I will protect us all. I promise." And somewhere in the silent dark, he felt the dragon's fire burn with him, a flame that would never die. The last protector had passed. A new one had risen.